Hey everyone. So today is just going to be a little bit different for the Galactic Federation. Me and Carrie decided to pre-record this just because some of the things that we're going to be talking about is a lot of new information to both of us. It took a lot of time for me to integrate it. I think these are things that Carrie had already been feeling for a while. And so we're going to pre-record this information and then you can just watch it as it comes. If you need to take a break and integrate some of it and then come back and watch more, then that's what you'll have to do. But I just want you to know that, like, we're bringing this information to you because we feel so deeply about it. And we are actually going to realign our business based on some of the things coming in this channeling. Carrie, is there anything that you want to say just to start?
Well, I want to welcome everyone and say thank you so much for always evolving with us and this process and how we do things differently. And yeah, we've been feeling these energies, these upgrades that we've been getting, and really feel like we have to stay authentic to the messages that we're given. And at different times in our lives and different channelings that we've done, the information has evolved and grown too to what we were ready to receive. And they've always said that. So we always respect that what we're given at the time is we respect the information that it was needed at that time, and that it's always changing, right? Like that life is always changing, the messages are always changing, just the evolution of it. So we appreciate you just being here, sharing this space with us, and growing with us and evolving with the times.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the information that I received recently, which I just want you guys to know that a lot of this information took me so long to integrate because my starseed awakening was so special to me. And so I'm not here to like break down your starseed awakening. I think that it's like truly, truly beautiful. It was probably the most beautiful part of my human experience so far. And that's why it was so deep to my soul when I was kind of shown the next layer of deception and the way that they've manipulated even our awakening to keep us in this state of waiting of like what's the next event that's going to happen, to keep us in this state of giving our power away. We've given our power away to the galactics now, and we've been shown that the galactics are like these beautiful beings. And I started doing a lot of like really deep galactic healing with another practitioner, and I started having these feelings of like, I don't think we know the whole story here because it's a lot more brutal out in the galactics than we've been told.
Yeah, and I think that I understand, and Sierra's really been doing a great job of integrating this information because it was we've all had, especially since lockdown and some of the information we're given with truth about just our real life. And then it gets a level deeper and you get more truth and even truth about our own family and the way that oh my gosh, like normal people aren't raised this way, all those different layers of truth that we feel along the way, and how it can really feel disheartening, but it's also opening up for deeper levels of understanding. So there's a beautiful gift at the end of this. And I just want to say, Ceirra, you've done a beautiful job navigating this. And we really, personally, I have been feeling from my guides that to have less of the fear factor messages, have left less of the um although celebrity topics are fun, I feel like the topics about self-healing and what we can really do in our own human evolution and our own evolution of the soul is so much more important and less of a distraction at this time. If we truly want to be on that journey together to be able to support one another through all of this. And as other star seeds awaken, that will be at that level of stability to be able to be a very grounding, supportive energy for them, because it's hard. Like doing the starseed journey is not, even the human journey, doing any of these journeys is not easy because it's not meant to be, right? But we're ready for it and we're given what we're needed. So I just think, and that understanding and moving into this is that just we're really excited about the healing the true deep dive into healing that we're going to be able to have opening up to those messages.
Yeah, and a lot of this started because I always felt like when Carrie and I channeled the Galactic Federation, it just felt different. It felt so much different than everybody else's channelings of the Galactic Federation. It felt a lot less fear-based. It was very empowered. It was full of love, and it was a lot less, it didn't hit like those emotional triggers within you. And we didn't really like to play like that waiting game of like, what event's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Um, and so looking at everybody else's channeling and like getting this information and seeing the deception of the Galactic Federation, it tore me apart. I built a business on channeling the Galactic Federation, but Carrie and I are just so blessed because we have been so divinely guided. And I was always channeling my Arcturian self, and she was always channeling her higher self. And the one time that I channeled the Galactic High Council, like some of you that have been at my clients for a while, they even remember that channeling of like the one time I let the Galactic High Council fully come through. It was different. It was so anxious. It was like, this message is absolutely urgent. You have to get this out. Everything's a ritual. Everything is fear. Um, you guys are galactic citizens and the galactics are here to save you. It just had such a different vibe to it. And that was actually the reason why I only started channeling my Arcturian self. And so Carrie and I will no longer be doing the Galactic Federation live Q&As with you guys. We'll still do live channelings every once in a while with my Arcturian self, with Carrie's higher self, because that's become the truest information to us that we can trust ourselves, that is true to us. So always remember that channeling is always these,
Creation.
yes, channeling is always a co-creation between you and the being that you're channeling. When people channel these beings, like when they just call in random Pleiadians and random Octurians and they don't know who they're actually channeling, these beings are inside the construct. They are inside the matrix. And so they are just sending you messages of this event's going to happen. This event's going to happen. This is when 3D to 5D is going to happen. And so all of these things have just been so distorted. And I think what made me so angry about this entire thing is that they control our human experience. And we have all, that's something that like when you wake up, you're angry about it, but you're like, all right, I can deal with it. It's okay. But then when you realize the amount of deception that they have used to also control your awakening, that is when I felt like my soul was set on fire.
Yes, fire is the new theme. It's just in time. It's almost Leo season, so this is perfect. But yeah, and anyone who, and we encourage you always to have that connection with your higher self, with your team, because you're going to channel the information that is most appropriate for you. And everything's a learning lesson. I've called in people and allowed them to use my body as a channeling before and learned lessons from it. But we also don't know what timeline these beings are on and what earth experience that they're experiencing, that we're getting information from. We don't know how and why, and it could be very purposeful as well, why they are manipulating the information. There's a lot of lessons that can be learned there too. But for our intention and what we want to really help with and make an impact at this, where we're at in this stage, is to allow to alignment, balance, to just all of that, like whatever that looks like, is that's where we really want to get that information to really help people, because we truly all do deserve to live this life in balance and harmony. If that day is coming, the world is ending, it will end whether we're in balance or not. So we might as well enjoy the time we have while we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I went through one, I went through a very intense starseed awakening. So for anybody that feels like this video is contracting their nervous system, I just want you to know that I'm here with you. You can always reach out to me if you're starting to feel these same things, because I almost felt like I had to mourn a death. Like that is how intense this was for me. I remember one of my first QHHT sessions, I was shown very vividly of like my Arcturian self, like putting me in my mom's womb and like saying that I'm an aspect of her. And for the longest time, I thought that like my Arcturian self was like above me and that was it. Like that was like my soul. Like I have these parallel lives, but like I looked at my Arcturian self as a higher version of me and that we just shared a higher self. And then I remember being like thinking that all of these beings were so beautiful and they're just like here to save us and they're watching us. And to come to terms with like this, I think this was like the true moment where I was like, no one is going to save us. Like, Jesus isn't going to save me. The Octurians aren't going to save me. The Galactics aren't going to save me. I am here to save myself. I'm here to empower myself. And my Octurian self isn't higher than me. We need to stop even seeing, like, I think we put our galactic lifetimes on a pedestal. And how can we actually just integrate those galactic lifetimes and then use them to empower our lives now? And it's like, it's been the coolest thing ever because this is the first true, honest time where I feel so balanced with my Arcturian self. And I can truly see that, like, we are just the same. Like, she's not higher, I'm not higher. We are both badass. And she's fucking angry too. Like, I'm so sorry for my language, but like I can feel her anger. And before, I think the idea of the Galactics had been so manipulated to me, where I was like, they don't feel anger. They're all love. They understand everything. She's like, no, I'm angry too because of the type of mind control and manipulation that has happened.
Yeah, and I think sovereignty truly is sovereignty. It's just that's truly what it is. It's not I'm sovereign, so I'm going to give my power away to a Galactic Federation. I think you're in a different system. But uh, my eh, my version, it's so funny because on my phone, when you have the photo albums, it'll bring up people. It'll show faces, so you can touch on the person's face and pick up any picture you've had with that person. And before my awakening versus after my awakening, my phone recognizes me as two different people.
That's
It'll
amazing.
it's like so there was a transformation that even my technology acknowledged within the awakening, right? And I thought that was so cool because I was like, first of all, I was like, have I changed that much? And I was like, I've changed that much. It wasn't such a bad thing but yeah, I just think the sovereignty part is so important, is that we truly are sovereign beings. And my higher self explained to me the other day that that higher self is just a balanced version of you. So you actually are a version of your higher self just off balance. So if we truly want to embody that just empowered, just bold, loving, all those great qualities we want to see, it's just balance. It's really, and it makes it so much easier to attain when you make it not seem like the threshold so far away to achieve. So, I'm just grateful for you guys. I'm grateful that Sierra's been given this gift of her downloads and that we're able to channel some of that information today to bring some insight and awareness and get some answers.
Yeah, and when I mourned my starseed awakening, I felt after I had been through that like 3 days of crying and just anger, I felt more of my higher self come into my body. It was the coolest thing ever. Like they were like, all right, you have let go. You can see the divinity in yourself. Like I think sometimes we're looking even at the Galactic Federation and the Galactics because there's still something missing within ourselves. And this is just such a beautiful time to realign to what is important. And that is why Carrie and I are truly realigning our membership. So it's going to be a lot more like group hypnosis, live coaching, empowerment. I want to empower you. I don't want to do these channelings anymore on how are the solar flares making you feel, because I think that a lot of the solar flares are being manipulated as well. And I think that's something that we're going to talk about in this video also. Just every single thing that we talk about, that we have questions about, is being manipulated to put us in a state of disempowerment.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a journey of the self. As much as we're really lucky to have each other to keep company during this journey, it's really about a journey of the self. So, whatever we can do to empower you, to help you heal, to help you just be in balance, to help you just thrive, we're here for that. And so
Yeah.
whatever that looks like, and it may be evolving. We maybe do certain different lives and we get feedback from you guys, or we feel it out and we say, no, we need to do more. We're going to be evolving, changing, growing. And it's going to be all about the journey of self and helping each other get through that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So today I will be channeling my Octurian self, but it will not be on behalf of the Galactic Federation, so that we can really get down to who is the Galactic Federation? Are they corrupted? Why do other people's channelings not sound like our channelings? Like, what is truly happening here? We're going to get into the control structure that we live in, that I think might be very, it took, it makes so much sense, but it even set my nervous system on fire. So we're gonna get into it today.
So I just want to send gratitude for the transmission we're about to get and the information that we're about to receive. And the intention for today is to channel Ceirra's higher self, her Octurian self, whoever she chooses to call in to ask questions to gain the highest information for where we're at in the collective and humanity and our Patreon group and ourselves personally to answer the questions we have today. So I just want to place this beautiful, beautiful prismatic high frequency pyramid of light around us. This is the most powerful, all protecting, high frequency energy that's going to allow a sacred space where no interruption, nothing outside interference can come in and can just allow us to have the space today that we need to have this channeling. So, Ceirra, as you're there today, are you feeling anything around you?
Yeah, so I feel this just super solid connection with my higher self, and my Arcturian self even like stepped aside and was like, this is you, this is your empowerment.
All right, well, that's beautiful. And we thank your Arcturian self for understanding the situation. Now, what messages does your higher self have as we start off?
We are in great times of dismantling, that the fire element is, we're going into the time of the fire element. And so you are metaphorically seeing your world set on fire. You're going to see a lot of dismantling of belief systems, even what has been known as a starseed awakening, the way that you're, even the way you'll be able to see more of the deception of your human experience, of your awakening. You'll be able to see the full scope of the deception that has happened in this realm. And the reason why this is so important, the reason why this is happening now, is because you have been so deceived that you don't even know what the other side looks like. You have been so deceived to think that an angelic is the highest version of yourself. When we talk about the other side, when we talk about what it means to actually be in your soul, in your actual soul form, this information has been so deceived to think that you are so much, you are more powerless than you truly are. It's hard to even imagine what it means to be you as a soul on the other side because of the amount of deception that has happened in this realm.
Was this deception purposeful?
Absolutely, of course. So it was part of the mind control that has happened in this realm to take you away from everything. It took you away from your truest soul's essence. And this realm was meant to take you away from your truest soul's essence because it was an experiment. We wanted to experience the unexperienced. So this truly is a new game in consciousness that is so unique to any other kind of multiverse in known consciousness. That is how special and unique this game is. It's just that this certain amount of deception has happened with the amount of mind control that has happened in this realm with different kinds of beings.
Did we know entering these soul contracts to come here and have these experiences how deceptive it was? Or was that a deception?
Your soul contracts are real, and there's certain event markers that you want to play out in your life. But when you are experiencing everything you are not, and you have free will, and there's just specific event markers that are meant to be played out for yourself and for the collective, then that's when this level of mind control and this level of deception has happened. This realm was actually supposed to end a while ago, but due to this kind of deception and time loops, that is why it has not shut down yet.
Why was it so important for us to understand that no one's coming to save us?
The Starseed Awakening is very beautiful, and it has been put into the story of Earth Realm for a very specific reason. Because when you awaken, when you start to have your awakening from your human life, you start to remember your galactic lifetimes. You start to remember past lives. That's when you start to remember that your soul is truly eternal. But what has happened is this has been manipulated as well. And so this idea of Dolores Cannon, she came in to be a part of the network to raise consciousness. And when these beings saw that people of a higher frequency were naturally coming in, it's not even that it was starseed was the term that was used, but it's just that beings of a higher frequency. They were coming into this realm, they saw that that was happening. And so they found a way to even manipulate that awakening as well, to put beings of a higher frequency in the state of constant waiting, the state of what event is going to happen next. That, or they took the loneliness of a starseed awakening, manipulated it, and cause people to cling on to their stories of an Arcturian star seed or a Pleiadian star seed. And they learned how to separate them as groups as well amongst each other. When just because you remember a Pleiadian lifetime doesn't mean you're just Pleiadian. You have so many soul connections. Your soul is so much bigger, and that they've condensed it so that you only put your attention on your starseed connections to take you away from healing yourself. It's just another distraction.
Right. None of us are pure anything. Okay, I won't say that because there are probably some pure something out there, right? Like that I don't know about, but we're all a mixture, a hodgepodge. And so it's not about the, collectives. It's like, who are you as a soul? what do you embody? What does your soul embody? Like, I think that's what we forget about, the connection, the human connection that we have, such a gift of being able to experience here during this realm. So I think that's really important to see, because yeah, you kind of do get a little bit of a like, oh, I'm an Octurian, what are you? Oh, you're a Lyran. I don't really connect with Lyrans. It's like, and then the other day I found out I was a Lyran. I had Lyran. So it's like, what does it all mean anyways? And how does it really serve us in the way in other than giving us an identity?
Yeah, absolutely. The ego, it just latches onto that idea, and it's just another human label that a being tries to put upon itself. But truly, the beauty of a starseed awakening is so that you can see that your soul is eternal, so that you can see that your soul is so much more than just your human experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. Why was it so important for us to have vanity?
So, a part of the manipulation of this realm, and this is where we just want to speak first and say that we can no longer continue to blame one type of being for the manipulation of Earth realm. So this story has played out where the reptilians have been blamed for everything. And of course, it's easy to blame the reptilians because they don't look as pretty. And naturally, most of them, a lot of their vibrations just naturally lower. But we can no longer just continue to blame an entire group, an entire race of a specific being because the beings that are a part of the deepest manipulation of Earth realm are Pleiadian. They're Pleiadian. There's even some Octurians, and there's grays behind it. And so it's like there's even humans. Like there are humans a part of these races as well. We've just been so manipulated to believe that the reptilians are behind it. And there's an entire group of different kinds of beings that have came together to control Earth realm. And our actual control structure, our control system comes from the Pleiades. Like this entire inverted matrix has already happened in the Pleiades. And we were just a breakaway civilization from the Pleiades. And they brought that exact same control structure here into Earth realm. And that's why this idea that all Pleiadians are so beautiful and so loving, and if you speak badly about anybody that's Pleiadian, you get so much hate. Ceirra was looking on YouTube for like one negative Pleiadian video and she could not find it. And this idea has been put and manipulated into people's heads to think that all Pleiadians are so beautiful and loving. And in reality, it's just like any other race. You have good beings and you have negative beings. And these negative beings from the Pleiades are actually some of the most manipulative, and they've used mind control to deceive this entire realm. And this is where you get this idea of vanity because the Pleiadians are naturally beautiful and they've taken this idea of beauty and they've weaponized it against you. And even a lot of celebrities, like the Pleiadians, are already walking among you. It's just a lot of these celebrities, they're actual just walking Pleiadians. You think that they are these humans that need to be put on a pedestal. They're walking among you. Like these galactics are already here, walking among you.
Yeah, and I think we need to, it's hard because for one, Pleiadians are beautiful, but Jesus has been connected to the Pleiadian race. So you can't speak bad about Jesus because we all love Jesus. We all love the energy he brings, right? So, like, but here we are, just bringing awareness that there are good and bad in every kind. And we have to remind ourselves that the reptilians are a hive race. They have to follow one order, the queen bee. So, they're a slave race in a way, or, if that's how you want to perceive it, but they're just doing what somebody else is telling them to do, just because that's how they survive and that's how they operate. So, um,
And to speak on Jesus was a Pleiadian, this is where you go into the full deception of the Pleiadians. And when we say Pleiadians, like we don't want you to get it into your head of like, oh, all Pleiadians are bad, because that's not true. But the records of the Akashic records in Earth Realm have been deeply, deeply manipulated as well. So Ceirra saw in the very beginning of her spiritual awakening that there was an actual section. There was actually time in the records of the Akashic records of Earth Realm that were missing. And she's had that in her head since the beginning of her spiritual awakening. And so we showed her that the Pleiadians manipulated the Akashic records in this realm. This is how deep the deception is. They've actually manipulated the records of this realm to hide the history of the Pleiades. They didn't want people to see the control structure that happened in the Pleiades before this. And so that part of the records has been fully taken out. And then these beings are putting these ideas in your head that Jesus was a Pleiadian. And she's channeled this as well. She was a part of this. And that's why it was so important for her to be a part of this, to take part of it, to feel the full beauty of the starseed awakening, and to have this experience with all of you so that she can be here and hold space for you while all of these beliefs are dismantled. And so they've even taken this idea of Jesus and it said that he was Pleiadian. And they put that in the Akashic records so that when people open the records of Earth Realm, that is the information that they're receiving. And then there's these beings around you that are inside of this construct that are helping to maintain this idea that the Galactics are going to come and save us. And they are also putting the ideas in channelers' heads that Jesus was a Pleiadian. But Jesus was the son of the 13th being of this realm. So Jesus was actually just the 12 creators of this realm, they come together and they created one being. And so Jesus is the son of the 13th being. And he was here a as a light to show you that you have all of the exact same powers that he has.
okay, so I want to do a video on that actually separate, because I think that's actually because there's so many sons and different religious, teachings, that just to even go off and have that exploration. So I'm actually excited about that. But why, in referring to why we're no longer channeling the Galactic Federation, what can you guys tell us about the Galactic Federation and why you've opened up to Ceirra not to that what they're really wanting?
They showed it to me as like the as above, so below for the control structure that we're in. So the control structure that we're in actually came from the Pleiades, from the Galactic Federation. And I think that's really, really hard for people to hear. And I just want you to know it was hard for me to hear too. And it's like, I don't even want to channel this because it's like, I'm telling you on a personal level, like, that's fucking hard to hear. Like it makes me want to cry that we have been so deceived to think that the Galactic Federation is so beautiful, but it's actually a part of the control structure of this realm. And so they're showing me like the Galactic Federation hasn't always been corrupted. It's like the government here. It's like you have people in government that are incredible. You have people that like truly want to help. But then once you get to higher levels, it's very corrupted. And I've actually had past lives where it's like I felt I was starting to be shown like this kind of deception that was happening. I just get angry. Like it just makes me angry. And I think that's why I've had this information for over a week, and it just took time to even make this video.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be angry. Like, I want people to know that. Like, I feel so fueled and so passionate for my business and for the amount of people that I'm going to help more than ever before. Like, this is the most aligned I've ever felt in my being. And they're showing me that it's almost like it's expanding my nervous system even more because it's like the more rage that I feel inside of my body when I can see how deceived we've been, the more love I can hold too. Like, we have to transmute this rage into passion for change because I think anger is actually the greatest force behind us to change. And that's why you're starting to see so many influencers angry because new levels of deception are coming to the surface.
Yeah, you can either channel it to destruction or channel it to passion and new creation. So, it's not the anger that's the problem, it's how you use that force in the next step after the anger, right? They always say it's not the failure, it's like what you do after the failure. It's the same thing. It's not the anger that's the issue. It's what are you going to do with it? And so this is beautiful. It's a transformative time, and you can't have change with great. We had the last channeling, like there's only so much energy in the world, so we have to use the energy in different ways, and it just has to dismantle so that it can be able to be used in different ways. So, what? Give me a second. What can we do anything within the Galactic Federation Council to make change there? Or where should our focus be? Should it be more on our lives and making the change here? And that will be as below, above. We're doing it here, so it'll naturally happen up there, or what?
Yeah, it's the as within, so without. So now that you've seen the corruption of the Galactic Federation, how can you go within yourself? It's like your entire human life, you were taught to go outside of yourself to make you feel better. You have your spiritual awakening, and even though you're going within, you're still looking for things outside for those emotional triggers, for like those dopamine hits. Just because you've been so conditioned to do so, you don't even realize that these things are in your unconscious mind still. And so you go to the Galactic Federation, and then they take your power. Or you go to the solar flares and they take your power. You go to astrology and it takes your power because you're looking at the planetary alignments and you're saying Mercury is in retrograde. All of these things are giving your power away to something else. It is time that we take back our power, that we sit in our full alignment, and this might take you to places that terrify you. It's time to confront your soul, to confront yourself and say, who am I on a soul level? Because a galactic being is not who you are on a soul level. A galactic being is a character that you played in a video game for one lifetime. And your soul is so powerful on the other side that it has created all of these lifetimes. Your soul is so powerful on the other side that it creates entire realities for you to experience. Like if you truly are the creator, you truly are God. And when you're on the other side, if you want to have an experience of what is it like to rock climb, you can create that for yourself immediately. Or what is it like to be in a new earth, this idea of Gaia. Like, let's say you've had that idea in your head. You can see it, you can create that for yourself on a soul level on the other side because your soul is completely unlimited on the other side. And so when we talk about this idea of the shift, they have taken the ending of this construct because you could say that it's like the ending of this video game. Like it's just the end of the simulation that we're in. And souls are going to be shifted into the other side. And so when you go to the other side, You can create entire realities. You could create this idea of new earth for yourself if you wanted to. You are that powerful. And they have taken this idea of a galactic awakening and manipulated it in a way to think that a starseed is all that you are. Even with the angelics too, like a lot of people think that an angel is like the highest version of themselves. It's not. The highest version of yourself is your soul. And I think that that is like so hard for people to comprehend just how big the soul is.
I love that. And I think, well, the angelic realm is another channeling within itself because it's not as we perceive. And I mean, I've channeled angels that had eyes everywhere and they were very interesting looking. Like I'm like, that's not the angel I remember in my construct. But I mean, it's just it's not. I mean, how do we understand it when we're at this level humaning over here, right? Like, but I think the main thing is to understand also about the purpose that we with that anger also I think the anger also dismantles a little bit when you understand the higher perspective and you're on the other side of it. So, we are not here today to diss any of our past channelings, anything that anybody else is channeling, any of that information. Like it's all purposeful, it's all beautiful, right? For wherever that we're at. But we're just changing the radio station. We're now wanting to attune to information more about sovereignty, self empowerment, things of that nature, to really help people along the way. So, in saying that, are there any final messages that you guys have? There are a lot more questions that we have, but we're going to tune back in and really ask those questions maybe with our next channelings. But this was more about the understanding the why, the how um, for the change.
We just want you to know that this is the time of change. This is the time of taking conscious action. It's okay if you feel angry. It's okay if you feel sad. It's okay to flow through your emotions. If this even doesn't even resonate at first, just give it time because you're going to start seeing even more come out about the deception that has happened in this realm, the deception of the galactics. And it's okay. And we know that it's so hard, but this is just a time to go within. It's time to go within, look at those traumas that maybe you've been afraid to look at, and to empower yourself because we just want you to know how powerful you are, how unlimited your soul is. And all of these things have to dismantle and break apart so that you can see your truest essence, so that you can see just how unlimited you are on the other side.
And just one question based, I love that. Thank you. One question. I have a feeling since we're getting so much, we've been asking for disclosure. We've been asking as a collective, as star seeds for disclosure. I think we just didn't understand we'd get it on a galactic level. But because the galactic level's coming, my assumption is we're going to getting more and more disclosure also on the human level. So is that going to happen as well?
Yes, but this idea of disclosure has also been highly deceived, where people are just waiting for contact, waiting for contact. And like we said earlier, the Pleiadians are already here. The Pleiadians that look extremely human, they're already walking amongst you. A lot of that you have actually probably come into contact with them. It's almost like you meet them and you can just feel that their frequency is different. It's like there's just something about them that you can't figure out. A lot of you have already come in contact with these beings. This idea of disclosure, again, is just a way to keep you waiting for a specific event that is going to happen. And that is so detrimental to the awakening. Like, out of everything that they have deceived, this waiting game is the reason why this construct has not ended yet. They have it looped a time And then they put you in this waiting game so that you put off your healing, so that they distract you from what is truly important. And so instead of this idea of when is disclosure going to happen, when the galactics are already here walking among you, that is an idea that we don't want to say that you need to release, but maybe start thinking about it and start asking how can you let go of this idea of disclosure that has been so deeply ingrained within you.
I love
And then
that.
I'm also asking them about like the one of the bigger questions too was like the law of non-interference because that's something that we've all channeled, and I'm just asking them if that is a real thing, if they're already here. The law of non-interference was actually very purposeful. It's a it was an idea created and given to Dolores Cannon because it would make a being of a higher frequency feel safe during their awakening. But then that also was highly, highly manipulated to thinking that the galactics were watching you and they were going to come and save you.
We will tune in to find out more.
Yeah, we'll have to do a part two because there is still so much more.
Yeah, I feel like we need to let this integrate, and I'm game for next week if we want to do a part two to do another one. But thank you for your Octarian self for stepping aside, for your higher self, for Ceirra for channeling, and for this beautiful information.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And if you watch this and your nervous system feels like it's been set on fire, we can go through this together.
Message us, reach out,
That's why we're in community.
Yeah, absolutely. We're here.
All
All
right, I
right,
love you guys.
you guys.